It's Ron Reader Digs the Universe. I'm Ron Reader, and this is Ron Reader Digs the Universe. And tonight, the corruption of Clarence Thomas. First, there is his wife, Ginny. She was up to her neck in Stop the Steal narrative's various plots to reverse Biden's election win and the January 6th insurrection. But Justice Thomas refused to recuse himself from any of that shit because, you see, he says he's immune to his wife's influence. Well, okay. But that's just chump change when compared to recent ProPublica investigative reports on Justice Thomas's relationship with the Texas billionaire and right-wing activist Harlan Crow. Apparently, Crow has been giving Thomas lavish vacations to the tune of millions of dollars over the years, but it gets better, or worse, depending on how you're looking at it. Crow also set up a deal where he bought the Supreme Court Justice's mother's house and some other Thomas-owned properties, allowing her to live there rent-free and tax-free in her now newly renovated house on Crow's dime, of course. Thomas pocketed some $130K in the process. All of this, needless to say, is highly unethical and probably illegal because Thomas reported none of it. He says he didn't realize that he had to do the transparency paperwork. Says colleagues have told him he didn't have to do so. But as Washington Post columnist Eugene Robinson has observed, this is laughable because Thomas rules on obscure constitutional minutiae every day. He knew better. It is very likely, however, that Thomas will suffer no consequences whatsoever for being one of the most corrupt justices in the history of the U.S. Supreme Court. You see, the High Court has absolutely no ethics rules, and Chief Justice John Roberts, also a Republican appointee, he doesn't seem to want any. This, along with incomprehensible decisions like the ruling that reversed Roe v. Wade, is destroying whatever credibility the court has left. These people aren't umpires calling balls and strikes. They're Pete Rose betting on baseball. And the country is rapidly coming to understand the situation. You know, at least they banned Rose from coaching again, but nothing like that here. This is also something of a tragedy. Clarence Thomas, when he joined the court, was literally chosen by the first President Bush to be the conservative black guy, replacing the liberal black guy, civil rights icon and champion Thurgood Marshall, who successfully argued Brown versus the Board of Education before the court he later joined, you know? See? We're not racist. We appointed a black guy too. It's just some sick, fucked up shit, man. Especially because Thomas, he ain't no Thurgood Marshall, but rather a doctrinaire right-winger who hates affirmative action and voting rights because he reportedly feels like the programs that definitely benefited his career made white people not take him seriously as a lawyer. That all set the stage for the entrance of his white, super wealthy benefactor, Harlan Crow, who we can be sure is a racist because of his deep, deep, deep admiration for Adolf Hitler. An admiration so deep that Crow has in his home what amounts to a museum filled with Nazi memorabilia. It seems to me that Crow sensed Thomas's insecurity and started grooming him, giving the black Supreme Court justice the white establishment approval he always craved. I mean, Crow didn't do this with white Supreme Court justices. He did it with Thomas, who was more than willing to be his patsy. As with Herschel Walker, Thomas is responsible for his own actions, but it is a bit difficult not to feel sad about it all. His life struggle has been exploited by a powerful, wealthy, white man. Same old shit, always, all the time, forever. I'm Ron Reeder, and this has been Ron Reeder Digs the Universe. Join me, Ron Reeder, again next week for another episode of Ron Reeder Digs the Universe. And now it turns out that Alito's doing it too. Fascists, scalawags, and blackguards all.